Most working families here in Alabama are wondering about these radical organizations and our congressional delegation's mental health on their obsession with denying 30 million Americans health care. Why would any public servant make it their #1 goal to deny millions of Americans health care? I guess it's the same folks that want to fuss about Medicaid and Medicare. Folks, if you don't believe in Medicaid, then you believe that a person, when they get poor, and when they get sick, they should just go off somewhere and die. That's against our values, and we all know it. You don't believe in Medicare, then you believe when an elderly person gets sick that they should just sell off their assets to pay for the end-of-life health care decisions, drain their entire family's assets, then go off somewhere and die. That's against our values. Folks, we don't have a health care crisis here in America. We have a health care cost crisis. How do people get elected to Congress and get elected to public office if they don't support Medicare or Medicaid? Of course, the answer is they lie. The third, just so you'll know, reason we're here is because Governor Scott Walker is down in Montgomery as the keynote speaker for a $150 a plate fundraiser for the Alabama GOP. We just wanted him to know how awful we think his decision to balance his state's budget on the backs of the public sector working families. But the question is, how do people get elected to governorships with such flawed ideas? Of course, the answer is they lie. Alabama is a wonderful state. It's full of good, hard-working people, church-going people. We are, however, a poor state, a very poor state. And the people who live here are mostly poor. 4.8 million people in Alabama. 14.5% of those people are over age 65. 23.3% are under 18. 51.5% are female. 70% of the people are white. 26.5% are black. 4.1% Hispanic. 17.6% live below the poverty level. 750,000 people in Alabama live below the poverty level. Per capita income is $23,483. That's $4,400 less than the national average. Median family income is $42,934. That is $9,828 less than the national average. Ranks us 46th out of the 50 states. Live in Alabama, remember this. When the business community says they want to make things better, it's a lie. The business community wants to make money, period. Profit, period. And they will create talking points and an elaborate PR campaigns just like they're doing on this AAA bill right now. Just to make a bad thing sound good to the voters. It's called spinning an issue. It's created by spin doctors. It's all done just to help protect these extremist politicians who misled us to get elected. Normally, an elected official publicly berating public sector workers, especially people who are held in high esteem like our school teachers, would end a political career. Normally, you'd think that. That taxpayers making money available to private schools and allowing taxpayer money to be used so unscrupulously would end a political career. Normally, you'd think being caught red-handed in a lie to cover up your vote would end a political career. But ending political careers depends on folks like us, hourly wage working families. And what about our Congress? What about Alabama's congressional delegation? How does somebody who wants to privatize Social Security, privatize Medicare, turn Medicare into a voucher program, eliminate the post office, let the poorest of the poor starve to death by cutting out food stamps, put our public sector workers on sequester, say we need to bring buses to ship immigrants out. They say they don't need a pathway to citizenship. They might as well say they want things to stay the same because they believe America is better off having an 11 million person slave labor force. The immigration issue is a values thing. It's family values, human rights values. Who ever heard of separating families thought of as being a good thing? Threatening to shut down government, They tell fast food workers the minimum wage does not need an increase. How in the world do people like these get elected?
We have a 400-year history.
How in the world can a regular old working person even consider voting for them? If you were a chicken, would you even consider voting for Colonel Sanders? And what about farming labor unions? Recently, Governor Bentley said, and I quote, "It would ruin the Mercedes plant if a union were to form there." What a doofus. If there's one thing crazier than an hourly wage worker who's never been a union member in his life telling another hourly wage worker how terrible it'd be to have a union in the workplace, it's got to be having a multi-millionaire governor giving advice about unions to a working family. That is the craziest thing I've ever heard of. Plain and simple, folks, nobody would vote for them if they told us what they were for. They always tell us what they're against. It's GGG, GOP. That's all they think they have to say. God, guns, gays, gynecology, Obama, and Pelosi. That's all you're going to hear next election cycle. They will want to talk about what they've done over the last few years.
Take the microphone of hate away from them.
It's our fault. It's our fault for letting them get away with it for so long. We have got to hold these folks accountable.
Amen.
My God, folks, these guys are catering to the moneyed special interest, and our interests are getting destroyed or ignored. Why do people in Alabama have such a hard time seeing that? We're going backwards, for God's sakes. It's time for all of us here to go home and take a good long look in the mirror. Figure out what we're here for, what we're for and what we're against. Take a strong values check and make our minds up to become active. We need activism. We need to make our government work for the people again. We need to end some political careers, and now's the time to start.
Yeah.